This is sort of nod to kind of the pack shot, effectively, right? With him looking at the Mako Reactor.
So there's the pack shot, that classic shot of Cloud holding his Buster Sword and looking up at the Shinra Tower. That scene right there, where it's looking up at Reactor number 1, that is almost like a one-to-one recreation of a scene from the original bombing.
Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Midgar. You got
beautiful.
Tim and Kristen here from PlayStation, and we are joined by special guests, Neil and Jarek, who are from Square Enix's marketing team. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Hey, guys.
Thank you so much for having us. We're super excited to be here.
We are also super excited to be checking out Final Fantasy VII Remake. Can't really overstate how highly anticipated this game is,
And just already how emotionally, I never even finished Final Fantasy VII, but even the beginning of this game is pulling at my heartstrings a little bit.
And that's exactly what we're checking out. We're checking out a demo for the game, which kind of features the first, bombing mission, just the iconic intro, section of the game.
Yeah.
This is the intro. So for those fans out there, it's going to be very recognizable. But for someone who never played the original, great point to jump in.
Yeah, and that's actually, now you mentioned that, what do you think about this remake specifically? It just makes it such a great sort of jumping on point for folks that maybe didn't get a chance to check out the original back in '97.
So we know, based on the iconic status of the original, a lot of people have heard about Final Fantasy VII, but maybe they never had a chance to play it. This is now an entirely new opportunity for those people to jump in, because we're reintroducing the world, we're reintroducing the characters. It really is the perfect starting point.
And look at this detail, too.
It's stunning.
It really is.
And it's just, personally, as a fan of the original and just how engrossing and inviting and mysterious that world is, it's like everything I've seen about this remake is just is what you would expect from just a huge remake that invites you back in. And then you have the classic, just the train cutting in here. This intro is just I don't know, burned into my memory. Look at the detail on the train.
I was going to say, for someone who, I had missed this game when it first came out. I was a little too young. So I feel like I sort of missed having this cultural moment with it. And from the moment that remake was announced, I was like, I'm finally going to get it. I'm finally going to understand why this has been just dominating so many people's hearts over the years.
Mm-hmm.
The time is near.
That's right. We're coming up on it. And it's just, the details of these soldiers here also just it, as a fan of the original, it's reminiscent of those classic character models, but just has expanded in more detail and rich and kind of what I remember from my mind's eye.
Yeah, the character designs in the original were pretty great. Obviously, quite a fewer polygons on those originals. But the team has so much passion and so much love, and they're staying so true, but just making this bigger and larger than life.
Right.
And absolutely amazing. Oh, our boy.
Cloud with his modest
that hair.
Just, I wonder how much time he spends on that in the morning,
And so one thing to call out specifically, this is the beginning of the game, so you're going to see some tutorials pop up. Jarek's going to be jamming through that. He's on the sticks. He's a total professional. He's going to take care of these guys. We'll kind of talk about various things, some combat strategies, but also maybe some things that, if you're running through the levels, you might not totally notice right off the bat.
Yeah.
If you played Crisis Core, you might have just seen a Benora White poster. That's kind of a throwback.
Man, it's been a hot minute since, but yeah, that's cool. So what was Benora White in
Benora White, colloquially known as a dumb apple, and then you can see the poster right there on the right. It's kind of the game is full of these things that someone who's familiar with the world is going to pick up on and really appreciate.
That's so cool.
But if you're new, it's not like you're missing out. Yeah. It's all just flavor to help build out the world.
And speaking of just sort of building out the world, and it's so detailed, and the combat itself is so richly detailed. The thing that really stuck with me when I got a chance to play it previously was just that slowdown effect we're seeing. And as a fan of the Final Fantasy series, I know that there's been lots of different combat mechanics. Some pause combat as you are selecting different characters or choosing different abilities or spells. And it freezes combat. And that worked for those games, but this does something totally different where the momentum keeps building. Like, can you talk a little bit about how this stands apart and what we're seeing specifically?
Yeah, and I think the combat is really one of the standout features of the game, especially when you compare it to either other Final Fantasies or other RPGs.
Yeah.
And the dev team they had a challenge going into this because the original combat system from 23 years ago is iconic. People love it. So how do you take that, stay true to the original, but also make it feel modern?
Yeah.
And the inclusion of tactical mode, I think, is really the perfect way to do it. So you can see as Jarek's roaming around the field, he encounters enemies. He'll attack, dodge, and block in real time, and he's building up these ATB charges that then he can use in tactical mode.
It looks so good.
So what's Soldier Boy's deal? Is he one of us now? He's got balls, this, what was his name again?
They're talking about his materia, right? Is that...
Right.
Yeah, he's got lots of material.
Yeah.
Still, he's a professional, unlike the rest of us. I'm glad
Just
to have
can't
him.
get over the detail here.
Yeah.
It's wild seeing them fully
This
realize.
is a one-time gig. When it's done, we're done.
And seeing their personalities
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
out even more, it's just, I love it.
It's fun to to see the personalities sort of like fleshed out, and obviously voice acting now, which is a change from the original. And like, I've been just so impressed by how fitting it all is, and even just down to the way they dialogue. And we'll see some banter between Barret and Cloud later that's just spot on.
I love this little sequence too because Cloud's interacting with Wedge, but meanwhile Jesse and Biggs are kind of having this little sidebar conversation, adding all of this backstory and flavor text to the world.
And I love Barret.
He's the best.
You better be worth the money, Merc. Every last gil.
Yeah, it's the beginning of their relationship and just sort of like feeling each other out a little bit. I love just even the detail. I know it's kind of like gnarly, but like where his
Arm.
gun arm begins and ends. It's just like a little, like you can see a little echo of the story attached to that, and that detail. And then there's this sort of nod to kind of the pack shot, effectively, right, with him looking at the Mako Reactor.
So there's the pack shot, that classic shot of Cloud holding his Buster Sword and looking up at the Shinra Tower. That scene right there, where it's looking up at Reactor number 1, that is almost like a one-to-one recreation of a scene from the original bombing run.
Right. So cool. And speaking of the bombing run here, so the stakes are basically, if I talk a little bit about Shinra and just sort of the stakes and what's going on here and what their catalyst is here for folks that may not know.
Yeah, so as you play through the game, you come to understand that Cloud has been hired by this group called Avalanche to infiltrate this Mako Reactor. Mako is essentially what we come to learn is the life force of the planet, and Shinra, this I'll just call them evil.
I think they earned it.
Evil
Yeah.
organization is literally using the life force of the planet to power the entire city of Midgar and all of their tech. And Avalanche is like, nah, man, you're killing the planet. That's not cool. So Avalanche hires Cloud. Cloud's a merc. He's in it for the money. But as they progress through the level, you even start to see these relationships build.
That's excellent, and like so excited to see that with again, as we talked about, like the new voice acting and the more expressive characters, and it's super exciting.
Yeah, so much comes across in just like a little glance from Cloud or a sigh from a character. Whereas before, these polygons had to really emote to get that emotion across. But the range that they have now with the fidelity that the development team has brought to light is just phenomenal.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about the some of the details in combat here? Like I'm seeing like the pressured status and staggered, and I'm familiar with some of these from previous Final Fantasies. But how does that fit in with Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat?
Yeah, so essentially the most basic part of combat that you want to be aware of is you want to build up your ATB charges. Your ATB charges in the lower right corner, there are these 2 blue bars. Each time you build up a charge, you can then use that charge to execute a stronger ability or cast a spell. So you can see Jarek flies into battle, he starts building up his ATB charges. Once one of those is popped, he can go into his tactical mode, choose from a few different abilities. There he picked Focus Thrust, and that does a whole lot more damage. Now, with the stagger system, you see that orange bar at the bottom of an enemy's health. If you can stagger an enemy, you'll get a damage multiplier.
Got
So
it.
these low-level guys, you don't have to worry too much about staggering. They're kind of just fodder. You can swing the Buster Sword, take them out pretty quick.
It'll start to get more strategic. as you go.
Exactly.
Okay.
Once you start getting into the tougher enemies, you're going to want to try to stagger them as fast as possible to make them vulnerable, and then execute your strongest attacks to really increase that damage multiplier.
So does that tie into, like, maybe elemental weaknesses or something down the line, and that ties into the staggering?
You got it.
Okay, cool, awesome. I love it. It's just putting a finer point on some of the strategy.
Bet you've seen a few reactors.
There you go.
So how do we get to the bridge above Mako storage? Ain't holding out on me, are you?
Ruh-roh.
Stamp scared to bite the hand that fed him? Or is he a loyal little doggy? Have it your way, Mutt. We can do this with you, or we can do this without you.
Different reactor, different layout. Depends when it was built. Never seen one like this, but I'll manage.
So interesting thing to call out there. Barret calls Cloud Stamp, and they haven't really explained what that is, but he keeps referring to him as a mutt or a doggy, or like a lapdog of Shinra, and that's a new thing that is fleshed out even further. I won't spoil too much, but you can look for Stamp or more of Stamp as you go through the game.
Interesting.
I am curious because there's just so many opportunities to kind of tweak the relationship and how it unfolds. Even though I understand they're going to have a similar rapport throughout the game, but just how it unfolds.
And I know you were saying earlier, there was the shot where he's looking up at the Mako Reactor that you guys were saying you tried to make it a 1-by-1 as much as you could, replicating from the original. How much would you guys say you were like, let's just do our own thing, have it fleshed out a little bit more of an original vision versus the recreation?
I think the whole game is an amazing example of the dev team finding that balance of like determining where it's appropriate for that throwback and that callback, but then layering in the right amount of new details or making these slight tweaks and changes to make it a more involved and modern experience.
Careful in there.
So here we have Avalanche continuing their way through the reactor, trying to make their way to the core.
Yeah. It's just really impressive seeing, like Jesse and Biggs and Wedge here, just like they were always kind of supporting characters in the original, but I'm just like immediately a little bit more attached and invested in them just due to just how great they look and how much more detailed they are.
Yeah, I think we always loved those characters originally, but boy. Yeah. They really stand out now.
Yeah, they do.
Jesse particularly has become, even before the game has been released, has become a huge fan favorite, which has been really cool and exciting to see.
I love her armor.
It's awesome. A classic. That's the Shinra logo, right?
That is the Shinra logo. And those must be some baddies.
Ooh. Let's listen in.
These sewer rats appear to call themselves Avalanche, sir. We are currently investigating whether they belong to the same group that made the attempt on your life. Rest assured, our inquiries will not take much longer.
Look like nice guys.
This sole purpose is to drain the planet dry. While you sleep, while you eat, while you shit, it's here sucking up Mako. It doesn't rest, and it doesn't care.
Some important exposition.
Realize what Mako is, don't you? Mako is the lifeblood of our world.
She's heard this before,
This old speech.
What's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Answer me! You gonna stand there and pretend you can't hear the planet crying out in pain? I know you can!
You really hear that?
Damn straight I do.
Get help.
That's so good.
love just Barret's
that again.
passion,
Yeah.
and then Cloud's just apathetic.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's so good. And it's
I'd
just,
worry less about the planet.
I love
and more about
that
the
that
next
mix,
5
like the
seconds.
sort of contrast of
Save
how
the screaming for later.
again, like detailed and stunning the visuals are, but it still has that layer of like quirkiness that the original did, and many Final Fantasies have that layer of quirkiness, and it just is such a nice combination because Barret's just bigger than life, and so
Lives on the line now.
He's got a lot of personality.
yeah.
You listening, Merc? One false move.
Speaking of Barret,
Yeah.
we're gonna get to see him in action. in just a bit.
That happens.
Exciting.
Well, so much for having Cloud do all the fighting. There are some places a sword just can't reach.
If only we had a guy with a giant gun.
Yeah, attached to his arm.
Just bear with him for me, would you?
Just bear with Barret.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Should have asked for more money.
Oh my gosh.
Just uncomfortable laugh. It's so good.
So here we get to see Barret in action. Obviously, Cloud's more of a melee focused character with his Buster Sword. He likes to get right up there in the enemy's face and take them out. But when you've got something out of range, that's where Barret comes in.
Cool.
He's got the giant gun arm. Each character does work and feel totally differently. Even something as simple as dodging between each character
really?
does have a different feel and motion to it. So yeah, obviously you're going to have a more melee focused or a more ranged character, but even the character's special attacks are totally different. And fans are going to have their preference of who they play with. There's going to be opportunities where you're going to want to probably use a particular character.
Yeah.
But if you have a favorite, then you can use them as much as you want. You can swap between characters on the fly. It's literally just a button press to go back and forth between Cloud or Barret. Or eventually you'll get a third party member in combat, which is super, super fun.
Okay.
And then it becomes this act of like juggling the characters and their ATB bars, making sure that you're using them as effectively as possible to do the most damage in the shortest amount of time.
And it looks a little different from the original in that you're not waiting for like a turn-based level. Like when you're fighting as Cloud, it looks like Barret is still fighting until you take over as him.
Exactly. So when you're playing in real time, any character you're not directly controlling will be controlled by the AI.
Right.
The AI will only use basic attacks. So it'll just attack with Barret's gun without using any of the ATB charges. So it is up to you then to tell Barret when to use those ATB charges.
Right.
So you're telling him when to use the stronger abilities or cast spells or use items.
And that's when time slows and you get a little more tactical and
Exactly.
cool.
Or you can use shortcuts. And this is where the team found this way to harken back to the original, but they're offering all these different options for how to play the game to cater to various play styles.
Okay.
So the way I typically play is kind of a mix between using tactical mode, which starts out in real time, then you get your ATB charges, you enter tactical mode to slow down time, you go through the menu, select your abilities and spells, and then deal a bunch of damage.
Okay.
But there's certain shortcuts I like to use to keep things going fast. And the shortcuts are hotkeys that you set where you don't have to enter tactical mode. You can execute the stronger abilities and spells on the fly and keep the action moving super, super fast.
Okay, cool. So if someone on your team had like say an AoE attack that you knew just was going to be like really useful no matter what the circumstance, you could just have that in a shortcut, fire that out. But if you knew it was like a move that you really want to make sure you hit this enemy and go in, you could be more deliberate with it.
Yeah, what I like to do when I'm playing the game is I set my most commonly used abilities to my shortcuts, and I'm just like popping those left and right.
Cool.
And then, for example, if there's a elemental spell that I'm not using all that commonly, maybe I won't have that on a shortcut, and I'll have to go into tactical mode in order to use it.
Okay.
So here we're fighting a tech-based enemy. Lightning magic's going to do the most damage. So you'll see Jarek going into the spells, hitting lightning, and doing a ton of damage to that thing.
So is when we just saw Jarek switch between Cloud and Barret, like I see it's Punisher mode versus like charge, and is that what you were getting into before, the difference between these characters?
Yeah, so you can see Barret has overcharge and charge on his triangle. Essentially what that does is if his overcharge is full, he can press triangle to do an attack, and that quickly fills up his ATB charge. But it depletes, and then you have to like jam on triangle in order to recharge overcharge.
Got it.
Cloud is totally different. pressing triangle with Cloud alternates between Operator and Punisher mode.
Okay.
In Operator mode, Cloud has kind of decent cadence of attacks. He does a good amount of damage just with his standard swings, and he can block when you hit the block button.
Okay.
If you switch to Punisher, he loses the ability to block, but he gains the ability to counter melee attacks.
Okay.
And he does slightly more damage. So there's a trade-off there between Operator and Punisher for Cloud.
Okay, cool.
And that's just like kind of scratching the surface of the strategy that you have for each of these characters.
Yeah, I imagine, if you're going up against a new enemy type, maybe you want to do Operator and be a little bit more defensive, and if you're feeling really confident, switch over to Punisher and just mix and match that way. Cool.
Yeah, and like a lot of the guards in this level, they're shooting at you with guns. That's where blocking comes in really handy. Later on, there are some enemies that are really hard to take down. They're really fast, but they're pure melee.
Okay.
That's where switching to Punisher comes in, where you get ready to counter. Cloud will automatically counter as long as you're holding down the button, and then that allows you to knock them down and do more damage.
Cool. And I need to practice sliding down a ladder like that. That's seems dangerous, but worth it.
So now they finally made their way into the actual interior of the reactor.
Yeah.
You see all of the green glow from the Mako, and they're still working their way down there, trying to get ready to plant that bomb.
It's great just hearing all this banter as they're moving around, though. Just like that, the watch and learn.
I love them. That's so good.
So there, Jarek did a phenomenal job of kind of switching back and forth. He took out the closer enemies with Cloud using the melee attacks, and then quickly switched to Barret to take out that sentry gun because Cloud can't reach it with a Buster Sword. Now, if you do have the right materia equipped, Cloud can use ranged attacks, such as casting fireballs or lightning.
Okay.
And so for those of you who remember Materia, Materia's back. It works very similarly to the way it did in the original. If you don't know anything about Materia, now's your chance to learn.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's listen in on this.
All right, let's see if Little Stamp really can bite the hand that feeds. Go on, do the honors. Prove to me you're the man Tifa says you are. That you're one of us.
Never said I was. I'm just here for the paycheck.
Ooh.
Cool.
Then do the damn job.
Sounds hard.
I love a sleeveless turtleneck. It's interesting seeing how these moments get visualized.
Yeah. So much more subtlety involved. It's,
Yeah.
A little foreshadowing.
yeah.
I'm fine. What about the timer?
Your call, Merc.
So here we have our first choice.
Okay.
Let's give Jarek plenty of time. We're going to pick 30 minutes.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
make a nice leisurely pace.
That long enough for you?
We got 30 more minutes here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we're good. We're good.
You double crossing!
But it's nice to see that there's these like subtle little
Yeah.
moments that you get to choose.
And just when choices like that occur in a remake, it's just sort of like, oh, interesting. I'm paying attention. So this is a iconic, boss battle.
The first
reimagined
legit
here.
boss fight in the game, the Scorpion Sentinel. So here you actually have, Kristen, you were talking
Yeah.
about that banter earlier. The banter in this fight will actually help you strategize. So right there at the beginning, Cloud tells Barret, we got to
Lightning
use lightning magic.
Yeah. Okay, so was that not quite staggered, but the weakness kind of.
Pressure.
You can knock an enemy down,
Okay.
and then you can stagger an enemy.
Okay.
Staggering is like knocking them down will make them vulnerable.
Okay.
Staggering them makes them vulnerable and gives you the damage multiplier.
Okay. And we talked about how, thunder, and specifically like on a robot like this, that thunder is effective. Are there positional advantages, whether you're behind an enemy or is that not so much a case with it?
Great question. We're going to find out.
All right.
Very, very
Okay,
soon.
cool.
So one of the things I
just so
love
excited.
about the boss fight is that there are multiple stages to it.
Okay.
So at the beginning, you're just learning, okay, it's a tech-based enemy. I got to use lightning to take this thing down. It's jumping around, launching rockets at you, shooting you in the face, and then the boss fight starts to change.
Cool.
He moves.
Oh my
And now he
gosh.
puts up a barrier.
Oh, okay, got it.
Loved that transition.
That was awesome. like, and taking full advantage of like sort of the more 3D, you know, gameplay.
What's your brilliant plan, genius?
So here, Cloud's hitting this thing. The barrier's up.
Yeah.
He's not doing any damage to it. Barret moves into the rear and starts attacking it,
Okay.
and is able to kind of whittle it down. But really, what he's got to do is focus on that field generator,
Right.
which you can only really reach from the back.
Okay, got it.
Interesting.
Less talking, more
And
shooting.
this is just the moment in the game where you really gotta start sitting up and paying attention to your strategy and managing both characters. I think I've played this section before, and like it was a good challenge. I really had to start thinking really tactically.
So there, a little reminder that, hey, when you're in the red, maybe heal.
You know, self-care is important.
Self-care is important.
Yeah.
You could heal each other. You could heal yourself.
Oh man.
Yeah, I love the effects. Just everything happening from like the ash in the air to the sparks underneath every single leg as it moves, and then the sort of like the field that's up. There's just so much going on.
Don't compliment the giant scorpion. It's just so good. I love these interactions
So there you can
much.
see the barrier's just starting to go down.
Yeah.
If Jarek's able to do a little more damage, he'll be able to bring it down.
Ooh,
Ruh-roh.
got you in its sights. Oh, and I can see that the field is turning red. So
Exactly.
okay,
There we go.
Now's our chance. Give it everything you
get
got.
in there.
Oh, you
Now's
got
the
this,
point where you
Jarek.
just want to wail on it,
Yeah.
use your abilities, hit it with lightning.
Do everything you can.
Looks
Oh,
like
this music.
Barret's
This
a little low
moment.
on MP,
Yeah.
so if we had an ether, that'd come in handy. Awesome.
Patch yourself up.
Wow, 2 hit points
Cloud's
left. That was
healing.
critical.
Yeah, I mean, for the soundtrack for these moments as well, like what was the process like for updating it now?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, goes back to what I was talking about before,
Yeah.
which is like, okay, we're taking this iconic game, and it's so many different parts of it are iconic. Like, it's personally one of my favorite soundtracks. So to hear these soundtracks brought to life in a new way is just I get chills
Yeah.
every single time, and it's just absolutely amazing. Each time we have a new trailer and we have a new track that the
Yeah.
fans get to hear, people are just like losing their minds.
It's beautiful. It's you know, just like so rich, and like it's one of those things where, you know, obviously it's undeniably exciting for anyone who's never played Final Fantasy VII before, but then for those fans that are returning, it's like this is sort of what it sounded like in my memory, you know, because these are larger than life fights. Jarek, you're doing great. Just need to make sure you know that.
I gotta hurry up and help Cloud out.
Way to ask for help.
So, is Cloud grabbed?
Yep.
Oh no! Oh, good
Oh,
job.
okay,
So yeah, there are certain enemies that that can either grab you or pin you. What the Scorpion Sentinel did is it actually picked Cloud up, and you have a small window of time with your other character to deal a certain amount of damage. And if you deal that damage, you'll free the character. If you don't deal enough damage, that character that's been pinned will take a ton of damage.
Okay.
So good job, Jarek.
Yeah, nice.
Gotta look out for my boy.
That's right.
Oh, what's about to happen?
So here we go into another phase of the fight.
Get a sunroof going.
Oh, but some new pieces to hide behind.
That's right.
Watch the tail. You don't want to be hit by that laser.
See, again, the banter is given a heads
Good.
up.
And of course, you would know this as a former, you know, Shinra soldier.
Yes, contrary to popular belief, you definitely do not want to attack when the tail is up.
That's right.
It's a good time to heal
So
up.
Good time to heal
Yep.
up, exactly.
Smart.
Take care of the boys. Barret's free enough to do some damage.
Before it fires again.
So now you just got to go in and like wail on it.
Bring it.
Oh, jerk.
Now this whole time, Barret and Cloud have obviously been taking some damage.
Yeah.
One thing that we haven't talked anything about yet is the limit break
Oh,
system.
of course.
So dealing damage builds up your ATB charges. Taking damage builds up your limit break meter. Once your limit break is full, that's when you can really deal some damage.
Bust out. Is it Omni Slash? Is that the?
There's a few limit breaks
few?
to choose
Okay.
from. We're gonna hopefully we'll get to see Cloud's
I'd say
first
it's
limit
getting-
break that he has
getting
ability.
pretty close.
That little bar. in the
Braver.
lower-
That's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
So the limit break Cloud has equipped right now is cross slash.
Oh, cross
and we're
slash,
getting
okay.
so close. Ooh,
That was very
Barret
dramatic in slow
hit by
motion.
some debris.
Uh-oh, better hide, better hide, better hide.
Heal up
good
again.
positioning.
Nice, nice.
What a great pose. Go, go, go.
Okay, so there's an opportunity there when it's targeted on Cloud that Barret can pop out. That's
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Exactly. And one tip I do want to throw out with the limit break is you can whiff them.
Oh,
And I have in very
That sounds
embarrassing
Oh, no.
situations
Devastating.
trying to demo the game.
Sounds like a look at my
So
future.
the Scorpion Sentinel specifically, you can see it moves around a lot on the field.
Yeah.
If you don't time it right, you could potentially miss that swing. So don't
man.
Okay.
don't miss, Jarek. Oh, take cover.
so it's a
Yeah.
situation where like maybe you want to wait until you knock it down or stagger it and just make sure you don't miss.
So if you can stagger it and then do a limit break, now you've got that damage multiplier, and that limit break is going to be even more
better.
effective.
Interesting.
If only Barret had some NP to use.
I'll get that ether going.
So that, getting close.
So close.
And here we're entering the final phase.
This thing does
Cloud's
not,
limit break is ready to go. This thing's on its last legs,
does not give up.
It's just a matter of time.
Oh, hell, what's it doing now?
but it's healing itself.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh no.
So now the strategy shifts again. You really got to put the pressure on. What you can do is take out its legs to knock it down, make it more vulnerable.
Perfect.
And once we can do that, that's going to be the best time to use that limit break.
Got it.
We'll get that left leg
Whittling
down.
it down. Oh man.
It's just hanging on for dear life.
Battlefield is
All right,
on
now,
fire.
Now's the time.
Oh, here it comes.
Yeah. There.
Is it enough?
Yes. Come on.
It is enough.
Finished
Oh,
it in style.
Nice.
Wow.
Jarek.
Impressive.
Excellent.
Almost like that was planned.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we set that whole 30-minute timer.
Yeah.
Oh, the timer hasn't even started yet.
Oh, right. Okay.
We got plenty of time.
Man, no problem.
Whoops.
Those are some death throws.
Shit, the bomb!
Ruh-roh.
30 minutes until detonation.
There we
Okay,
go.
now.
There it goes.
Goodbye. See ya.
What an ending.
Nicely done, Jarek. Well done.
Exterminated.
You hear that? Damn thing showed you how it's done.
Come on, we've got to move.
Where should be covering
Now I gotta get out of here.
Exactly.
Go, go!
Always remember to heal.
Good
Very
call.
Good
important,
call,
very
yeah. Good call to do it right away, too. I probably would have been like, doop, 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 doop. and then
You
had
never know what's next.
Big regrets.
He's not as fast going up the ladders as he was going down.
Hey, you know, he just went through a lot.
That's
of
true.
work
Yeah,
taking out that
tuckered out.
scorpion. Yeah.
I understand.
You know, we can't all be good at cardio.
That's fair.
Barrett's wasting no time
Yeah,
getting out of
he's-
there.
He's a big guy, but fast. I love their voices.
I'm gonna say it's not just the voice actors. It's like every part of this. All
Yeah.
of the sound design is just completely modernized.
One thing that's really cool is, how Cloud kind of like will stitch together his attacks, and if an enemy is, across sort of the battle zone, he'll kind of leap or thrust towards them. Is that just something he automatically does?
So Cloud will close the distance with one of his standards attacks
Okay.
automatically.
Nice.
But when that last attack that you saw Jarek do, that focus thrust,
Yeah.
that's an attack that gives him range.
Okay.
So Jarek actually kind of sized the enemy up,
Okay.
realized he's at a distance, wanted to do some extra damage, and picked the ability that gives him that extra step.
Okay, cool. What a nice guy, you see?
My hero!
Hey, we'll link up over there. Look after Jesse.
I already am.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Come this way!
Nice.
This route should lead us straight to Barret. Probably.
Probably.
Maybe.
There we go.
Love it. I just love it.
And the music like really picks up at
Yep.
these moments.
It's the detail of this, everything starting to kind of shake apart here.
I love listening to the music and how it changes on every scenario.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar, but different.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Jarek, before we started recording, you were saying that Final Fantasy VII was like such an important game for you. It was just like this lifeline for you for the original PlayStation. So what does it feel like to be playing a new version of it, basically?
It's honestly, it's unbelievable. It's like it's everything I imagined it was back then, but now fully realized. And it's hard to put into words that, you know, it's something that you imagine when you were a kid and half of it was in your head.
Yeah.
But now it's here and it's real.
And it's one thing that I'm so excited about this remake for is that you have in your mind's eye what one approach to a remake could be, and it's kind of, I think, inherently limited. But then what a beautiful remake does is give you something you didn't even know you wanted, and I think that's what this is really delivering to people.
I think that's really where the dev team has nailed it.
Take them down! We don't have time for this shit!
Cool it. 5 seconds is all we need.
Such a sucker for the slowdown effect in the tactical mode. It looks so good.
The movement and like how just smooth it is, it's just like entrancing. I can't stop watching.
And the colors change a little bit, and it's so stylish. Because I appreciate how fast the particles fly and how dramatic it is when things are moving in real time, but you just really appreciate on this other level when it's slowed down.
Now, I might be a little biased, but I have to say, it does not ever get old.
Oh.
It's so awesome.
That's good to hear.
Now here, Barret could stop and fight this sweeper, or he could just run away.
Okay.
You can actually flee from fights.
Okay.
So if you get far enough away, there will be a little notice that pops up at the top of the screen that says you're fleeing.
Okay.
And so, I mean, hey, he's only got 27 minutes left.
Yeah.
He's got to get his way out of here.
Right.
It's because a bomb about to go off.
Yeah, no
It's
kidding.
a literal bomb that is about to go off.
Very nice.
I like how he apologizes for destroying them. Sorry, guys.
Robots got feelings too.
It's true, and it wasn't their choice to fight.
Oh, I love moments like that. Pausing while he's in the air.
Oh, there's Barret.
Oh, yep.
That was easy.
I love it.
They're just trying to one-up each other so much. I love it.
Now, as your party fills out a little bit more, do your other allies also banter with each other?
Yes.
Nice.
They do.
Cool.
That's I love that. In
So
a game.
here we have that enemy I was talking about earlier that is more melee focused. So Barret has switched his mode for Cloud so that he's automatically countering those melee attacks. Makes it a little easier to take those guys down. They're still pretty tough. So yeah, if you can stagger them quickly, knock them down, deal that damage, and you'll be good to go.
Cool. And have you already talked about just what the max party size is? Like how many you have?
You can have 3 party
3?
members.
Okay,
in
cool.
combat
All right,
max.
awesome. That's great. Was that the same as the original?
That is the same as the
cool.
original.
Awesome.
That's
It's
right.
a good focused amount. I like that.
You don't look so good. Take care of those fools before you bleed out.
Oh, and he's just giving a little cue to have Cloud heal, which is appreciated. You get in the throes of it, you might forget.
Forget to look down.
Yeah. And it felt really natural.
Oh, what a friendly guy,
Look at that.
Healing Cloud like that.
This guy's wily.
Yeah. It's so interesting though to be able to see you can get all around these enemies, and it's not just straight from the front. And seeing that design aspect just take off is really fun.
Yeah.
Don't overdo it.
But don't overdo it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, Barret says no such thing.
Right. Using that range to his advantage.
Nice.
So we got one more sentry gun. This ought to do it.
Oh, yeah. Thunder. Short work of it.
I could have done that on my own.
I already leveled up too.
Nice. So, yeah, I mean, it's obviously an iconic role-playing game, but a role-playing game. So still, defeating enemies, gathering XP, getting stronger.
Exactly.
Okay.
And new for Remake is an ability or the option to upgrade your weapons.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So if you really, really love that Buster Sword, you can keep it around
Go all
for
in on
maybe a little longer this time.
That's awesome.
Sir.
So there we saw the bomb did a little bit of damage,
Yeah.
but these bad guys just not satisfied.
No.
That's another thing I love as a big-time fan is expanding on what we think we already know and showing kind of what's going on in the background of Shinra or even elsewhere in the game.
That's great.
But just really just layering in more and expanding the world and story more than ever.
Yeah. So you get that story that you loved, but even more. That's great. Oh.
I love this little moment between the two of them. Barret has this big bombastic personality and he's very anxious, and Cloud's just cool, confident.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? We're riding an elevator, man.
Yeah. Almost out.
Get us out of here, Jesse.
Doors open. We don't have a lot of time here. Pick up the pace, people.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
You're meeting back up with the rest of the team.
Yeah, we gotta get out of here.
Place is shaking apart.
Can you walk?
If I couldn't, believe me, you'd be the first to know.
I'll take that as a yes.
Ooh. Watch out. This is dangerous.
Oh, that was so
Okay, that
slick.
was
Yeah.
pretty cool. All right, come on.
That was nothing.
Yeah, Midgar's like, oh, what's going on?
Free fireworks tonight. Oh, it looks so good. I love the car designs.
know.
It's so cool.
Just the world building here. Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it was a reactor, so there goes the power.
Mission almost accomplished.
So here's a little taste of what's to come.
Things to come. All right. Well, maybe this is a good opportunity for us to wrap things up. But Neil and Jarek, thank you so much for popping by and showing us this demo for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Not too much longer to wait. It's April 10th?
April
Can
10th,
you believe it?
2020. I can't believe how close that date is. Super excited. Yeah, we're really, really looking forward, not just to bring this back to fans and give them a chance to experience the game in a whole new way, but really for newcomers, people who have always heard of all these iconic characters can now experience it for the first time in the most grand way possible.
Awesome. Well, thanks for watching.
PlayStation